Welcome to the 1310 podcast. We have a very special guest today. We have a 34-year teaching veteran of Union Local, someone that has inspired so many of our current teachers, someone that has made a difference in so many lives. We have the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Mehl. Welcome, Mr. Mehl.
Thank you for having me.
How are you, sir?
It's an honor to be here. On my way out the road this morning, I wondered, all the students I've had over the years, and when I look back, I've probably had about 3,500 students.
Wow.
in my teaching career, and I always used to wish that I was able to get in touch with them somehow and see how they're doing. So I think this gives me kind of an opportunity. Thank you so much for letting me do this, and I'm just happy to be here, and I love talking about UL. I love this place and always have.
We'll blast this out to as many people as we can. So
Thank you.
We were talking a little bit before the interview, and so many times our students feel like they have to have everything figured out, that everything is like going up a staircase. I do this, I do that, I do this, have my career. Your path didn't follow that route. So you want to tell our students and our staff a little bit about how you became a teacher?
Well, yes, I grew up over in a little community called Neffs, Ohio, and went to school at Bel Air. And when I graduated from high school, I started going to Ohio University, and I was interested in teaching. A friend of mine and I went together, and we both were interested in teaching, and so I got a teaching degree, and that was back during the Vietnam War, and that was back during the time when a lot of people were in college, and a lot of people were getting teaching degrees. And when I got out of college, I just thought, at my age, I just thought I wasn't quite old enough to teach kids who just would be just a couple of years younger than me.
So you went through the whole process, and then you pivoted.
Yes.
Wow.
My wife was from Morgantown, and when we got married, we lived in Morgantown for about a year. And when we decided to come back to the area, it was in the middle of the school year, and so I looking for a job in the middle of the school year just didn't work out, and it was real easy at that time to get a job in the mine or the mills up and down the river,
Different time period. I mean,
yes,
that's really what this valley was built on, the
sure.
mines and the
thousands of miners, in the area. And so I started doing that, and I can remember some of my buddies that I went to school with who worked in the mine, and they say, "Well, look at you, we didn't go to school, and we're making the same money as you did. Why did you bother going to school?" I used to think, I don't know, maybe that's right, but I'm glad I had it to fall back on, because of course, as we all know here, unfortunately, when the mills and the mines all died, I had that degree to fall back on. And at that time, I was working with Jeff Bazzari's dad. We rode to work together, in fact, and his wife Sally was a secretary here, and he kind of got me to come over here and inquire about subbing, and I started doing that. I subbed for about 3/4 of a year, and I remember so well that whenever at the end of the year they had a big pep rally, or not a pep rally, but an assembly at the end of the year, and they asked me to say something, because I was a pretty regular substitute. And I still remember to this day telling the kids, I said, "You know what? No matter where life takes me after this, I want you to know that I'll always be a UL Jet." And so after that summer, fortunately, there was a social studies teacher who moved away, and I took her place, and I was here for 34 years.
And the rest, they say, is history.
The rest is history.
So we talked again beforehand. We had a nice conversation. Union Local, very special place for you.
Yes.
From what I understand and what from people share with me, you were a phenomenal history teacher.
Well,
probably could have taken your skill set anywhere you wanted to go, but you chose to stay here. What made Union Local a special place that you wanted to stay your whole career?
Well, when I worked in the mine, I used to drive by this place. I worked at North America number 3 over in Jacobsburg. I used to drive by this place and look up on the hill and say, well, that's kind of a neat looking place, you know, and I wonder what it's like, and so on and so forth. And then as life brought it about, you know, I ended up working there, and so I just, when I got here, the people were so friendly and so kind, and I admired their teaching skills and so on and so forth, and I just, you know, when they gave me a job when I didn't have one, and I never forgot that, and I was always thankful for that, and so that was my underlying factor of staying here. You know, I just really liked it here, and the friends that I made, and the over the years, and the people that I worked with, and the students that I had, I wouldn't trade it for anything.
And that's what makes a place special. It's not the building, it's the people.
Yes.
And when I walk the halls,
yes,
your name comes up more than any other former employee.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that's the legacy you've left.
Well,
You know,
thank you.
whether it's Elise
That
or
means more than you know. Yeah.
Zach
Thank you.
Delman or Mr. Nardo.
Yes.
And I know that when I started, I would
Yes.
hear that they would go out to lunch with you and things like
Sure,
that still.
sure.
So you taught history,
Yes.
but you made your impact building relationships.
Yes.
Why? I mean, can you explain or put into words how you made such strong connections with so many people and inspired so many others to become teachers?
Well, when I went to high school, I loved high school, and that was another thing that I loved about this job. I got to be in high school for a whole career. I was like still in high school, and so whenever I became a teacher, I remember one of my favorite teachers from when I was at Bel Air was an old basketball coach named Coach Cribbs. And every day in his class, he taught sociology and economics. Every day in his class, he would come in and give us some kind of life lesson. Every day, he'd bring a newspaper article in, or he was a World War II veteran, and he would talk about his time in the military and in the war, and he just taught us so many things about what it was like to be a decent human being, and to try your best, and so on and so forth. So I tried to incorporate that in my own students. When I tried almost daily, I would try to give them some kind of life lesson on why this was all important. I said, I used to tell them, guys, not everybody's a history person. I understand that. I'm not a math person. I never knew what X equaled when I was.
I did well in math until they started putting letters in.
I still don't know what X equals, but I used to say some people are math people, some people are science people, some people are history people, some people are English people. So what you need to do, simply because everybody else does it in the world, you need to try to learn as much about as many things as you can. So that way, whenever you go out into the public, or you're entering into a group of people that are talking about a particular subject, you can chime in and contribute to the subject. You know a little bit about things, and I said there are so many things that you can do. I never was good at math. I used to tell them. And now, consequently, I can't design bridges, and I can't do this, and I can't do that. And I wished I would have paid a little more attention. We all do that. So I just, when I was here, like you say, walking around the halls, I can still remember walking around on my planning period. I'd be coming from down here, going up to my classroom, and I'd walk past my colleagues' classrooms and listen to what they were doing, and I was so impressed with what they were doing. I was in awe of them. We have such a great school and a great staff. I put them up to anyone in the Valley. I'm very passionate about this, as you're understanding.
I can tell.
Yes.
And we're getting close to that 10-minute
I
mark.
understand.
But
I'm sorry.
I'm going to say this.
I'm sorry.
I don't get a chance to talk with Mr. Mehl every day, so I'm okay if we go a few minutes over.
Okay.
And I'm even going to ask an additional.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
My wife said, you make sure you don't sit there for an hour.
I'm even going to ask an additional question. Because you've inspired so many. My few meetings with you, you've inspired me.
Yes.
With our young teachers teaching right now.
Yes.
It's a challenging time.
Yes, it is.
But what I like to say as a history guy myself, it's always been challenging times.
Yes.
What would you tell teachers nowadays of, hey, when times are tough, when you feel like the students aren't listening, stay
Yes.
in the fight, stay in the game,
Yes.
you're making a difference. What would you
Yes.
tell if I gave a young teacher a chance to sit next to you and they were saying, like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore?
Well,
Why?
you know what my philosophy was that and it's the way I was raised. I tried to treat people the way I would like to be treated. And I never tried to belittle anyone, or I never tried to criticize someone or compare them to anything. I did have disagreements with them, and I let them know it. I will say that. One of my nicknames used to be Mr. Yell, but I didn't yell at them. I did it because I loved them, and I told them that. And so I would tell young teachers, of which I had many that teach here in this district, and I'm so proud of them. There are. I don't want to go through and name them all because I don't want to leave anybody out and feel bad. But I would tell them, to just remember what it was like when you were a kid and when you were in school, and the things that you liked about a particular class or a particular teacher, and things that you didn't like, and model your teaching style over that. And always, as a teacher, don't be afraid if something doesn't work out. If this plan didn't work out the way you thought it was, throw it on the side and plan something else. You spend your whole career perfecting your craft and knowing what works and what doesn't, and tweaking this and tweaking that. So I just tell them that, to remember what it was like and try to convey that message to your kids.
Yeah, relationships first.
Oh boy.
People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yes, that is exactly right.
And I think what some folks forget is that it doesn't mean that you're not holding kids accountable.
Yes.
To truly care about people, you hold them accountable, whether it's your own children or the children you're teaching.
Sure.
And I think that's what I've loved and learned about this conversation with you, is that those things are timeless.
Yeah.
We're history guys.
Sure.
What worked in the past works now and works in the future.
Exactly.
It's caring about people first, letting them know that you love them. I think sometimes we're afraid of that word.
Yes.
And it's not just saying it, it's your actions.
Yes.
And I think your actions have proven successful, because walk the halls and see how many former students you had that are now teachers.
Like I say, it was such a great career that, I think about it all the time. Sometimes I wish, maybe I should have maybe went back, but to sub, and I thought, well, it's a young person's game, and so so I just never really did it. But I think about it all the time. Yeah, I just really love the place and the teachers that I worked with, and I miss them all. I still do.
As we wrap up, Mr. Mehl, is there anything that you want to share, or last thing that you want to say?
Well, I just wanted to, I used to tell my kids, and anybody who's watching this who was a former student or is currently a student now that I don't have, I used to tell my kids at the end of the year, when we parted, I used to say, you know what, guys, always remember who you are and where you came from. Don't ever forget your roots, and always be polite to people, and treat people the way you would like to be treated. It'll open more doors for you than you know, and so just a little bit of you. The whole thing's, to me, it's kind of, the whole thing's kind of spiritual. I mean, whenever I used to come early in the morning to school. I love being here very early. And when I would come in, I would remember. I mean, I can walk in the halls, and you could, up in the old school, you can remember all of the people, and you can feel their presence still there. And so to me, it's a big spiritual thing. But I just try to tell them, and I wanted to tell you all that I'm honored to have been a part of your life, and I want you to know that you always have remained a part of mine, and that will always be. And I wish you the best of luck. I hope to run into you sometime, somewhere, some way. I think of you often, and I'm just so glad I got to be a part of your life.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mehl, 34-year veteran of the Union Local School District, touched more lives than imaginable, and it just goes to show that teaching is more than just the results that we produce on the state report card. It's about the hearts that we touch and the lives that we impact, and I think he is at the forefront of the Union Local School District as someone who did those things.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr.
It
Mehl.
was an
I
honor.
appreciate you.
It was an honor.
It's an honor. Thank you.